What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 70. What number is this? 78 of Park to Prem here with Nottingham Forest. If you can't tell, my voice is very sore today, so apologies for that in advance. Today we've got the final episode of season number 15, and I say final with the caveat that actually the very last game of the season isn't going to be today, but today we have the FA Cup final. We're going to do a bit of a reflective look at the season ahead of the Champions League, of course, coming your way on Monday. So, buckle up tight. We're going to review the team. We're playing Manchester United as well, which, of course, they are always the old enemy. I'm somewhat surprised that they've not started to appear as a competitive rival for us in the rivalry screen. It feels like each and every year we butt heads with Manchester United at the end of the season in something. Of course, this year, it just so happens to be the FA Cup. And, if we just look at the schedule screen here, you can see since you were last here for the Champions League, we have played 3 matches. We won them all very, very nicely. We beat Arsenal 2-0, Devayo and Poyana with the goals. Against Burnley, a 1-0 win. It was Gallardo with the solitary goal there. And then most recently, we took on Everton, a 4-0 win. Lind getting a very rare goal for him. Gonzalez, Largo, De Volder also scoring in that game. A really good performance, and as you can perhaps tell this year, we have continually sold out at our ground, which is a really good achievement. 38,000 fans coming to each and every game. Of course, we have got the new stadium on the horizon that should be done in a year's time, assuming there's no delays and stuff. I feel like in real life, every single stadium gets delayed in its construction. So hopefully that's not going to happen for us here today. And, we've got this FA Cup game to win. And when it comes to the FA Cup, I feel like we have a bit of a weird relationship with it. I feel like it feels to me like we've won it way more times than we have. We've in fact only won it twice. We finished runner-up a couple of years ago. Last year we beat Manchester United in the final, and so of course it is a repeat of that game. Now you might be wondering with regards to the Champions League final, why are we not doing it this episode? Basically, last time I did an FA Cup final and a Champions League final together, it was frankly an absolute disaster, and equally, I want to just space out the matches just a little bit, and on Sundays, people don't really watch videos. I feel like for most of you guys, and you might be able to confirm this because this is being uploaded on a Saturday, during the week, people get in bright and early, they have a routine. When I upload at the weekend, it's out of your routine. You don't have a lunch hour to get through. You have all the time in the world. You're not stuck in an office job or on a break at work watching a video in the corner. And so those videos generally get less views. So with that in mind, Champions League finals coming up Monday. It means you've got twice as long to catch this video here as well, which I think is quite nice. Catch-up days are good. I certainly know that with some YouTube series I watch, when it gets uploaded every day, I fall behind and I feel completely overwhelmed and just start missing stuff because you don't always have the time each and every day to watch a whole load of content. Anyway, I think today we will start with the game against Manchester United. We're then going to look through the squad, and I'm also going to look at some of the former players. I've got to give a big thank you here to Devanshu, who in the comments of yesterday's video gave me a list of players that used to play for us that we should check up on. It got a load of thumbs up, so thank you, Devanshu. You've done my job for me, really, because I will go through all of those players, but not before we hopefully smash Manchester United. And when it comes to team news, we are going to play the 4-3-3. There is a small part of me that is a little tempted to play a rotated team here, being mindful of a Champions League final in a week's time. But equally, I do want to win this game, and the team is at full match fitness and match sharpness for the most point. So with that in mind, I feel like we go into this game, we cross our fingers, hope we don't get any injuries, get a win on the pitch, get out, and then the players can have a week off of just not training. They will be training for a week, but not training too intensely. Anyway, looking at this, United, they've got Solskjaer as their manager still. That, to me, it still feels odd. They've got Jean playing, who, of course, is scary. Guerrero is also scary. I'm noticing a distinct lack of real players at this point. I mean, we are 15 years into a save game. I always feel like with YouTube saves, kind of 15 years in, if you're a new viewer who stumbles across the channel, flicks on episode 100 and whatever, it just feels a little bit weird. You kind of enter this alien landscape, this alternative universe. But yeah, just looking at their team here, you can see Nianzo, one of the only real players for them. They've got Jean at left mid, who we know is fantastic. He scares me, that man. He scores goals against me. Anyway, we are playing in our away kit. We're back at Wembley. It's an FA Cup final. I feel like at this point, it's a familiar environment. It's our third consecutive year playing in this match. Hopefully, it's going to be our second consecutive year winning the thing against Manchester United as Urk is threaded through and tucks it into the bottom corner. I still feel like it's an error that Urk apparently hates big matches. Or maybe when he has a bad big match, he's so good he still plays well in them. Either way, he's just scored inside 2 minutes for us. And the game is... Don't freeze on me now, Football Manager. We've just taken the lead. DeVio, what a run that was, by the way. I feel like DeVio was slow getting started this year. The first 6 months, he had a couple of injuries. I think the price tag loomed over his head. He is playing with some confidence out on that left-hand side now. And that assist... beautiful. Anyway, it's Urk to whip in the ball here. Piotr's there. Heads just over the crossbar. And I feel like Piotr's just a permanent threat from set pieces. It's kind of one of the few reasons... I want to say it's one of the few reasons he's still in the team. He is the captain. He is the leader. He is the influence in this dressing room. But certainly his potency from set pieces with just ability to jump is another reason to have him on the pitch each and every day. Anyway, United thread the ball through, though. That was a bizarre ball that Navio is going to pick up. Back to Danny Dyer in goal. And well, he's going to switch the play over to their left back. So that's gone well for us. And now United bring it back. Garello, he doesn't miss these. He does miss these. He's hit the woodwork. He was offside. Just as a reminder, I feel like we should refresh our memory with how good Garello is. He's blooming good. He's absolutely insane. But he can't jump and he's inconsistent. So I wouldn't have him in my team for those two reasons. You have to be able to jump to be in my team. Unless your name's Urk. In which case, it doesn't matter quite so much. Anyway, 40 minutes gone. Dominant display so far. But with these cups, as soon as we're 1 goal up, I don't relax anymore. I'm just panicking thinking this still has a chance of going to a penalty shootout. I'm going to tell the players I'm happy with the performance. That might prove to be a critical error. That might prove... I should not say that. The players are going to get complacent. I'm going to shout demand more now. I've made Devolder angry and DeVio angry. Everyone else is loving it though, so it's fine. Alonso whips it in. Devolder, that was an angry header away, but only as far as Greenwood. And it's a little give and go. Greenwood hits the side netting. I'm curious how good Greenwood is now. Should we have a peek? He's just come on off the bench. He's 33 years old. I want to say he looks distinctly average. Is that harsh? He's not very good, is he? I mean, I shouldn't say... He's going to score against me now. Why would you say that, Jack? Right, looking at things. DeVio is looking a little bit tired. We're going to bring in Poyana. Poyana, by the way, has the second most goals in this team by a little bit of a margin, which when I realised that was the case, it did kind of catch me by surprise a little. Also, United have Phil Foden. Yeah, I don't know. He was playing for Barcelona for a while, and now he's here. What is happening? Get it away! That was nervy. I want to encourage, but I get told by the comment section, encourage never works. I'm trying it. You can't stop. I've ruined it. It's weird. In my save game in Sweden, encourage works really well. With this dressing room, it doesn't. I need to work out what the difference is. Okay, well, the game that ended very quickly, didn't it? That was... I don't want to say it was a classic cup final, because it probably wasn't, but ultimately... We've got the win. We've got the win. It feels almost anticlimactic the way we've won that, but I'm not going to complain. We're lifting the trophy again. Piotr has it in his hands. I've got my green and red suit on. Everyone else is going mental. I can tell you now, if I was a manager, I'm not just stood on the pedestal clapping next to my captain. I'm going balmy too. I'm chanting along with the fans. Either way, it's a win. We're going to do a lap of honour. Where's the cartwheel? Goalkeeper. They always do a cartwheel, the goalkeepers, in that part of the cutscene. I don't know why. The fact that now I've pointed that out to you, it's going to ruin the celebration scene for you each and every time. The goalie always does a cartwheel. No idea why. Anyway, we've got to win, everyone. 1-0. Urk with it. Remember when Urk was told by everyone he was bad? I remember seeing the haters in the comment for Urk. He is irreplaceable. I feel like I don't truly appreciate how good Urk is, actually, because he's been at the club for so long, you know, he's really developed here. When you sign a big player from abroad for like 100 million, they instantly get the respect they deserve. Urk's had to earn it I'm hoping that over the course of this season, at the very least, he's finally got that recognition as truly one of the elite players. And well, for the first time ever, at least during our time at Forest, we've won back-to-back FA Cups, which is good. I mean, the board expectation was to reach the final of it, so I'm glad that we were able to match that. And hopefully that now sets us up for the end of the season, as we're going to be taking on Porto in the Champions League. Of course, that coming your way in a couple of days. But for now, we're going to look through the team a little bit, because I feel like we should do that. And I feel like when it comes to this year, it's a weird year, because I did choose to experiment with stuff a little bit to begin with. And to be fair, you could make a pretty sound argument that it didn't work that great. Initially, fantastic, but I did go back to kind of the old faithful, the old 4-3-3 by the end of the year, and it definitely, I mean, look at the thing that stands out to me actually is the amount of clean sheets in here. If we look at the Premier League, Danny Dyer only has 16 clean sheets, but then he's only played 26 games. So I'm going to assume here that Massey, the goalkeeper for Tottenham, has played a load of games. He's played 37 games and got 17 clean sheets. So he's played 11 more games for one more clean sheet. I feel a bit bad for Danny Dyer, because the only reason he's not got more is because I've been giving Hamada a load of football this year. It's a bit unusual, I suppose, to be rotating your goalkeepers, but I don't feel like it's really held us back. I mean, Hamada has 5 clean sheets in 11 games. He's averaging over a 7.0, which for a goalkeeper, especially at a top club, I think is all you can really ask for. Maybe it's just me, but from my experience in Football Manager, if you have a goalkeeper in like a really good defence and they're not having a load of shots at them, they tend to get a lower rating than a goalkeeper who has a load of shots at them and keeps out a few of them. There's been times where you beat teams by kind of 5 or 6 goals and yet their goalkeeper is still just sat on like an 8.0 because he's actually made a load of saves. It's a little bit weird in that regard, I suppose. But you can just see, looking here, so many clean sheets, not just obviously in the Premier League either, just across all competitions. Of course, this year we didn't make it far in the EFL Cup because we lost on penalties. I feel like this was the dark point in the season. This was the moment to forget, where we missed 4 of our penalties in a shootout. I mean, we missed every penalty we took in a shootout. So Largo, Gonzalez, Van Dijk, De Volder. I mean, a little bit of a nightmare, if you ask me. That is, should we say, a low point on the season? A dark smudge on the season, I feel like, as well. If we look here at kind of the Premier League table, just so you can get kind of an idea of where we stood out as a performance, 22 goals conceded in 38. So not only were we keeping a lot of clean sheets, but realistically, we just weren't having a lot of goals scored against us. And then on the goal scoring front, we got 98 goals, which obviously is slightly more than Chelsea, who weren't too far behind, to be fair to them. But equally, we conceded half as many goals. In fact, in terms of the actual season, I think this is our second best ever points finish. Obviously, we've now won the Premier League 4 years in a row. 5 years ago, we were finishing 5th with 71 points. You can see we won the league with 82 points in 2031-32, which is a really low points total, to be honest. But it was one of those years where just everyone slipped up. 2032-33, we ended up on 99 points, which still remains our best ever season. You can see the goal difference of 69 there, goal difference of 66 last year, but with significantly fewer points. This year, I mean, not quite at the 100-point mark again. I feel like that is something that we could still strive towards going into next year. Maybe if I hadn't tinkered with the tactics so much, we would be there. And obviously the goal difference of 76 is pretty blooming good. If we just look at the Premier League stats, because of all the rotation, it's kind of rare for our players to do that well in terms of, ratings and such. But you can see here, Boyana, with 6 man of the matches, is in 3rd place. And Erk, 7 player of the matches, 7.43 rating. He actually ended up on the exact same rating as Connor Smith, who ended up being the top goal scorer in the league with 31 goals. I feel a bit bad for Gonzalez, but of course, with his rotation, it wasn't really out of choice. He had a fair few injuries this year. 25 starts, 4 sub-appearances, 24 goals. I mean, he's averaging just shy of a goal a game. And in terms of the actual average rating, it's actually his second worst year in terms of since he really came onto the scene as an out-and-out goal scorer. But it is just a mighty fine points total. The injuries this year did catch up with him just a little bit. Stuff like a fractured toe, a bruised thigh. Not long-term injuries by any means, but the kind of injuries that just mean you miss a little run of games here and there, which has ultimately cost him. If we look at average ratings, I'm going to assume this is dominated by us, and indeed it is. Sampaio on a 7.32. Free player of the matches for a right back is really good. Gonzalez also popping up there, as is Largo. You can see here, these are really high ratings as well. Anything above kind of a 7.2 is really, really good. And even Piotr sneaks in. He might be the highest rated centre-back in the league in terms of performances. So I think it shows that whilst you don't have to have the most amazing attributes, if you can be good from set pieces in terms of you're an aerial threat, if you're consistent, if you like big matches, each and every game that you're playing, you're going to do pretty well. And this isn't an average rating either, inflated by him scoring a load of goals from set pieces, which does happen sometimes with centre-backs. He's only got 2 goals and 1 assist. It's not like he's doing amazingly, especially compared to some of his earlier years where he got 8 goals in 31. But this is a year kind of just based off a exemplary defensive performance, which is great to see. And well, if we look at the team here, kind of just on the whole, in terms of average ratings, you can see here, Erk is leading the way on a 7.41. It's then Largo, and then Gallardo, which might come as a little bit of a surprise, because Gallardo, he has had 21 starts this year. Now, granted, because he's part of the rotated 11, he is playing against easier opposition. But there's a reason that at 21, he's got 18 caps at Argentina and 9 goals. He's one of those players who has loads of glaringly obvious gaps in his game, but he's really, really good at kind of the jobs that we need him to do. You know, he can come on and play on the right. He can come on and play on the left. You can see for us, he's mostly played on that left-hand side cutting in. But yeah, he's just been pretty good. And bizarrely, in the league, he's been pretty bang average, but it's been everywhere else that he's really chipped in and had man-of-the-match performances super consistently. You can see here in the Champions League, he's got a 7.76 rating. Now, as I said, because he's part of the rotated 11, he has been playing some of the smaller teams. But make no mistake, that is an absolutely just insane average rating to be getting. And he really does chip in with some big numbers when we need him to. A player who I'm not even sure I've ever acknowledged existed as well is here, Martin Roche, who is a goalkeeper. Now, he came through our academy. He's our third choice goalkeeper. He played 1 game in the Premier League this year and kept a clean sheet. I think that was when Hamada was in the Asian Cup during kind of January. He was away for a month. So when I needed to rotate things, Martin came in. I mean, look, as a product of our academy, as a third-choice goalkeeper, he's kind of filling up, the Rob Green slot. I'm trying to think, who was it United signed in goal a couple of years ago that it looked like a meme signing? Basically, in the Premier League, you have to have a number of players homegrown in nation and at club. Usually, a third-choice goalkeeper is a pretty easy way to kind of tick a player off the quota. It's not that uncommon. Martin is that man, although I will say he's got some of the best aerial reach in the game. He can jump. He's got reflexes like a cat. And yeah, he's come through the academy. He was actually here before I was. It's taken him a long time to get his first appearance. Maybe he'll get some more over time. But he played well in 3 games. Give him a round of applause. Credit to Martin, unsung hero of the season. You can see here Gonzalez doing well, and well, with that in mind, should we have a look at the goal scorage? You can see here Gonzalez, 34 goals. We were very, very reliant on him, but give credit to Poyana. Poyana doesn't get enough credit, mostly because I'm still bitter about him. But for a player who's super consistent, loves big games, 2 big ticks on the WorkTheSpace checkbox there. If you see that combination, to me, that's almost worth more than anything else, because it means that on a regular basis, you can trust the player to turn up. If we look at the tactics, out on the left-hand side, he's had a good year. As a striker, perhaps a little indifferent, although on international level, he's superb there. But internationally, he has, been playing as a right mid more recently, and he's been playing there for us on the right-hand side. 18 goals and 5 assists. For a winger, playing on a winger on attack, I feel like you'd expect more assists, but his goal scoring has been absolutely great, and 15 of those have come in the Premier League as well. So it's not like Gallardo, he's only been doing it in the cup competitions against the smaller teams. Poyana's been doing it on a regular basis, and perhaps there's a small part of me that doesn't want to give him credit after the sendings off last year. He's been top draw. Elsewhere, Largo with 15 goals and 13 assists. I feel like when you get a centre mid this good, at least when I got a centre mid this good, I wasn't sure what to expect from Largo. Like, you expect a lot because he's probably the best player in this team in terms of just raw attributes, but he's a centre mid. How big an influence can he have on a game? You look at his performances since he's joined us. This is his best year. He's got double figures for goals and assists in the Premier League from centre mid. A 7.41 average rating is the 3rd best in the league. That's pretty nuts. That's better than I was expecting when I signed him. That is, a player who really is contributing massively going forward. And then, of course, we've got and Devio, who, well, for I feel like at this point is kind of expected. His numbers have consistently been good. Bizarrely this year, he's got his second best average rating across the season with 7 player of the matches as well. But he's only got 8 goals and 7 assists. And I suppose he has played fewer games than in previous seasons. He did have the issue with the injury as well, where he broke his leg. But that really hasn't held him back. He's come back and just looked really, really solid for us. And it's similar with Devio. I feel like both these players started out slowly, but here we are sat at the end of the season, and their actual numbers are just really, really good. And then you get to other players like Van Dijk, who chipped in with 8 goals and 7 assists. It's kind of weird. He's now 29. He's a player who relies, I don't want to say heavily on his physicals, but his physicals definitely prop him up. The kind of player who, if a good offer came in this year, given his age, given his very high value, I might look to sell him on, because I feel like he's the kind of player we could get a really, really good offer for. You can see here, in terms of in the Premier League, his average ratings actually have never been that great for us. But he's kind of the player that at the end of the year, every time you look at him, he's just got some fairly okay numbers that are passable. When you put him under the microscope and look at them in detail, you have to question, is this man really worth 77 million? Based purely off league form? I'm not entirely sure he is, but you know what? If a team thinks that's the case, that's fine with me. Of course, Edison this year has had a pretty good year. Joined the club for £20 million. He's got 5 goals, 3 assists. He's obviously only 19 years old, a really young player. He's improved a lot this year as well, which I think is a big thing to look at. A player with a load of potential. Of course, the striking position is going to be very competitive over the next few years. We've got Edison, of course, out on loan. We've had Adebayo and Ballo doing their thing. Let me tell you now, they've had really good loan spells this year. I say this, they're both currently injured at the moment. Ballo's out with a pulled hamstring. But you can see his development's been really solid this season. He's played 26 matches in La Liga for Atleti. 6 goals, 6 assists. Not the craziest numbers by any means, but consistently contributing. Adebayo, meanwhile, out with pulled knee ligaments, which is a shame. Apparently, he's still improving. I can only assume those injuries have happened kind of fairly recently for both players. You can see here, though, 8 goals for Adebayo in 17 appearances. He's got a 7.37 average rating playing in Serie A. That is an absolutely insane kind of return. And he's also developing really well. I guess the big question for him is, do I want to loan him to Atalanta again? Or do I bring him back into the first team? And just given how well he's done on his loan, and the fact he has developed on his loan when he's been fit, I am leaning towards possibly loaning him out again, which might seem a little bit bizarre. But he's at an age now where even if I brought him back, he's not going to get homegrown at club at this point. He's had a really good year of development and actually played more regular football than I can ever realistically offer him. If we just have a quick look at the Matchstats complete view, I'm not going to delve into this in a load of detail, but for those of you who are like little numbers nerds, feel free to pause on this screen here. Let me know if there's anything that has gone over my head that I've not seen that should really be on my radar. I use this screen a lot with a team when I'm kind of, at an end of a season trying to work out where stuff's gone wrong or where we need to improve things. But without sounding too complacent, I do feel like at this point here, the team is doing so well, I don't really need to worry about this stuff. Maybe that's mental. Maybe I should always be striving towards improvements, but I just feel like when you look at the team performance on the whole, it's undeniable at this point. We've kind of got to the point in the Football Manager save game where we've got a world-class team, we've got world-class players, we've got a system that works, and really, I want to win a couple of Champions Leagues, pack up our bags, ride into the sunset, and holiday forward 50 years and see what becomes of my team and what legacy we can leave here at Nottingham Forest. So anyway, I feel like that's enough of a roundup of our current squad. The TLDR, although you've already read it and watched the video, is our team's really bloody good. It looks bright for the future. Might look to sell on some of the older players like Van Dijk who really haven't contributed too much in recent years. And one player who definitely deserves a mention, Adrian Smith. Every live comm he turns up massively. I'd be lying if I was to say he does that regularly when the camera isn't on. I feel like he likes to perform for the cameras. He likes to do it for you guys. And to be fair, I'm all for it. Again, consistent likes big matches. Those two things, I'm going to bang the drum of them, everyone. They're two things that I look at in a player, and I think they actually supersede actual attributes in many ways. Just if a player likes big matches, if they are consistent, they'll come on and make an impact for you. I think we have seen that on the regular from Adrian Smith, to be fair, this year. Anyway, I feel like the next part of today's episode is going to be a bit of fun. I've been given a list of players, as I already mentioned, that we're going to check up on and see how they've got on. The first of which is AMLO. So if we have a quick peek at Finn AMLO here, remember this guy, star striker, either-footed, 20 goals a season, got replaced by Gonzalez. If we look at things here, of course, we sold him to West Brom for £45 million. You can see last year he got 12 goals in 33. He actually started the season really, really well, to the point where he was popping up in the Premier League top goal scorers in episodes, and I was sat thinking, have I made a mistake in letting him go? I feel like what we can see here is maybe it was the world-class assists of Irk that were making AMLO look so good. Because playing for West Brom, to be frank, he's not done very well. He's actually been relegated with them. I mean, is there a relegation release clause? That's what I'm now wondering. 42 million. I can't. No, move on, Jack. Move on. Right, the next player we have is Toby. Now, I realise if I just search Toby, a lot of players are going to come up. But we sold him to Manchester United, so we can find him here. Of course, he left us to be their second-choice goalkeeper. And he's done exactly that. £30 million we got for him, considering he's not played a single game for them. And Hamada, as we've already seen, had a pretty good year this year as our number 2. I'm going to put this down as another sale where we got the better of them. You can let me know. I mean, there's not a lot to see here. He's been playing in the Premier League Reserve League, where he's kept 12 clean sheets in 21, but it's the Premier League Reserve League for Manchester United. It means absolutely nothing. Elsewhere, another thing worth mentioning is Stevie Secker, who is also on this list a little further down, but of course he was signed by Manchester United for 40 million. This year he's had a loan to Sociedad in the second half of the year. He's done better in La Liga, but for 40 million pounds, I don't want to say he doesn't look that good, but of course he was always injury prone, and I feel like that's probably caused him issues in terms of his development, in terms of just his ability to get a run in. You can see here he had kind of 3 fairly substantial injuries just before the Christmas period, and then it looks like off the back of that, United did decide to loan him out. So I feel like looking through these sales so far, all of these I'm marking down as wins for me, where I was justified to sell them, I was right to sell them. I don't feel like they would have actually improved our current squad. Anyway, the next player we've got is Rodina, who is playing for PSG still. He's playing right back. I was really hoping that we were going to get a chance to take on PSG this year, but of course it didn't quite happen. You can see for them, he's been remarkably consistent in their team. 29 appearances this time, 1 goal, 4 assists. That's the most assists he's had since he left us. Of course, when he was playing for us, he was getting close to double figures each and every year. And of course, the year where he left us, he had 7 in 13 games. He was playing absolutely superbly. I'm going to be honest, when we look at him, he's not improved since he left us. He's not got better. That is for certain. His Champions League average rating leave a little bit to be desired. And we sold him for 190 million. Maybe I'm being biased here. I'm putting that down again in the category of we've won that one. We've won that one. Right, shall we have a look at Healey? Where is Gary Healey these days? He is playing for Salzburg. Of course, we sold him for 17 million a few years ago. And, I mean, he's consistent in terms of his average ratings, but just consistently not very good playing in Austria. I feel like he's worse than I remember him being. He's had 4 starts in the league this year, 13 sub-appearances. Has he had issues with injuries? No, not really. I mean, again, I remember him being better than this. Remember the years where we relied on him for it was basically 2 years we relied on him, if we're being honest. That year where we missed out on the playoffs by losing in the final, and then, of course, the following year where we did get promoted and he played a few more games. I mean, it is a bit saddening. The fact he played 2 games in 4 years probably has impacted him long term, but ultimately, he's not looked that good. How much did we get? 17 million we got for him. How have I pulled that off? He is average. Right, next player, another championship era player. We've got Alex Mightin here, who's 33 years old. He's not even registered, apparently, for Swansea right now. He's agreed to join Olympiacos at the end of the year. I mean, his physicals are falling off a cliff very, very quickly. That's mad how much he's kind of got worse. Apparently, he had a loan spell at Portland in MLS. Wow, I'm shocked at how badly he has developed physically, because he's only 33. I say only. He turned 33 a month ago. He had a sports hernia, you can see here, and he's not had a load of injuries. When you see kind of physical decline like this, especially with 13 natural fitness, I often just assume that it's down to injuries, but it looks like in Alex Mightin's case, it's just a case of some players do lose their pace quicker than others, but for a player who's only just turned 33, that is a far cry away from the man that I remember. Anyway, Alex Mightin, partner in crime, so good I've pasted his name twice. Let's try again here. Samake, please work. Where are you, Wilson? You're still playing in China. You're still making, well, I assume, a lot of money. He only got 2 goals and 2 assists this year, which is his worst ever year, but he's still got a 7.35 rating. Of course, we sold him for 37.5 million. He had, well, a 24-goal season a couple of years ago. Now in his early 30s, kind of, I don't want to say in his twilight years, but I'm expecting to see some decline in the near future. And, I mean, he's vibing. He's vibing. He's not got as many goals for Beijing as he did for us in a similar period of time, which is a little bit interesting. He's now almost played as many games in China as he played for us. Oh, how time flies. Right, from Samake to another winger. A winger who didn't really work for us, but we looked at briefly recently and was really good. Boyer. Bloody hell, he's done well for Bayern. I wonder how well he would have done in our system as a winger on the right wing now, with hindsight. You can see for us, 2 years, never really performed. We did sell him on for a massive amount of profit, and of course, in his place, it's not like we've lacked a winger. It's not like we've sat there thinking, man, if only we had a player as good as you. I feel like we should compare him to Erk, really, because they play the same position as one another. I mean, I know which of these two players I would choose to have, but there is no denying that Boyer's actual contribution statistically has been phenomenal for Bayern. He got them far in the Champions League. They made the semi-final this year where, incidentally, they were knocked out by FC Porto, who, of course, we are going to be taken on in the final. But he got 15 goals last year, 17 goals this year. I'm curious, can we see where they've been playing him? See, they've been playing him as a striker, which is where I wasn't playing him. So maybe that's where I was going wrong. But as we saw with the comparison to Erk, he's a player who, whilst we've sold him for a load of money, I don't necessarily think we've missed him. I mean, he's blooming good. There's no denying that. At 25 years old as well, loads of years ahead of him. But I don't know. I'll let you decide if we've won this transfer or not. I feel like when you look at his numbers, it's impossible to look at it and go, yeah, I don't need that in my team. Because I think anyone would want a player with a 7.81 rating across a whole season. But ultimately, he's playing in the Bundesliga for Bayern Munich, which probably helps things. And equally, he never really performed for us. And we did give him 2 years. It wasn't a player we disregarded super early. So with that in mind, that's probably the closest I think we've come to a loss. And then we've got Miguel Antonio, who plays for Porto now. Yes, this is some spice leading up to tomorrow's game. Of course, he played for us for a couple of years. We sold him to Chelsea last year. They sold him to Porto this year, where he has obviously guided them to a Champions League final. Part of me feels like I should be worried and that I should be afraid. I'm hoping that he's not going to be playing against us. I mean, we can probably look at Porto's team here. Yeah, you can see their squad. They've actually got a really big first team, to the point where it looks like they've not even registered him for the Champions League, which I'm not going to question. If anything, that just feeds into my thoughts that he's massively overrated. I think the fact that Chelsea have sold him after a year means the fact I gave him even 2 years is generous of me. But yeah, who's he going to be cheering for from the sidelines in the Champions League final? Is he going to be cheering for us by virtue of the fact that, you know, he played for us for a longer, or for Porto, despite the fact they've dropped him completely from the team? What have I done it? I've gone to a different view. Back to my view. There's shirts on my screen. I don't need that. Well, that's the squad profile view. Right. Ultimate view. I have too many views. If you don't know, these are all available on the Steam Workshop, so you can check them out if you're playing the game through Steam and just get them, if that's something that you would like. I'm not going to cover that here, but I have already done a video on different views. The last player I've got on the list is a player who haunted us at the start of the season, and I'm still having nightmares about it. It is Stokes, who, of course, we sold to Tottenham for 22.5 million 2 years ago. He only played one game this year in the league, and he kept a clean sheet. He also played against us in the Community Shield final, but I do feel like he falls into a similar bracket to kind of Toby, where he's a good goalkeeper because he's homegrown in nation and homegrown at us. Like, he's desirable for both us and other teams in the Premier League as kind of a backup. I think the big thing for him actually is if we compare him to Martin Roche, who of course is our current kind of third choice goalkeeper. And I mean, when you look at them head to head, there's not a whole world of difference. Of course, they're all Irish goalkeepers because for about a decade every year we've produced an Irish goalkeeper. Martin's just the one that's happened to make it through the team for us. But you can see here kind of the head-to-head analysis. There's not a massive difference between them. They're both good backup goalkeepers for Premier League clubs, and that's all that can really be said on them. It's weird, with a lot of these players we've sold, they've not gone on to be superstars. I guess the closest to that is really Boyer, but for the most part, they're players that we sold at a time that felt right, and they've not really gone on to excel massively at their team, to a point where I look over the fence at how they're getting on and go, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe that's the one that got away. I think Boyer might be the one exception there. Either way, though, what a phenomenal season it's been. I still want to try and get an 100-point season. A question I've had a fair few times is, Jack, what's the plan with this series? How long can you keep it going? To put it bluntly, I want to win a Champions League. I want to win at least one Champions League. We have a pretty good chance, I feel like, against Porto. But the big thing for me is I don't want to drag this series out too long. If you've been watching the series for a long time, I appreciate you sticking with me. I can see the analytics. I can see the interest is starting to wane. My aim is still to try and win 2 Champions League back-to-back. I think in terms of aspirations, I think if we can win the Champions League this year, there's probably 1 or 2 seasons left of this series. We'll go for the back-to-back. We'll see how we get on next year. And hopefully we'll be trying to defend a Champions League crown. But obviously we have reached a point now where we have domestic dominance. I feel like we can win the Premier League most years. We've got such a young squad. It's not like this is a legacy built on quicksand that is just going to fade away really quickly. And I want to end it when the time's right. And I don't think the time's right just yet. It's not like we're going to win the Champions League tomorrow and be done with it. But I do feel like we're coming towards a natural conclusion to the end. This season and this series has been going on for a long time. We've done 15 seasons. For most Football Manager series, that's a very long time. We've done over 100 episodes. I can't express it enough. I'm so grateful to everyone who stuck with this series. Obviously, it's very different to last year's Park to Prem with the change in between teams. I know that's not to everyone's taste, but for me personally, it's been a really nice change of pace this year. Hopefully, we're going to end this season on a high with the Champions League, and we're going to win it this time. Of course, it was a few years ago now, actually, that we bottled it. I'm hoping that we can have a better year this year against a Porto team who, I mean, to be frank, we're going into this game as favourites, I imagine. We are, I don't want to say we're the better team, but we are the better team. We've knocked out some of the big dogs in the final. In terms of past meetings, we've met on a couple of occasions. In the Europa League, that was prior to my... No, that wasn't prior to my time. Blimey, was it only 2032 we were in the Europa League? Either way, the 2 times when we've played Porto, we've struggled actually away from home and then smashed them at home. Of course, with the actual final, there's no home or away advantage. I forgot that we played them last year. Oh, we should be beating them. The more I look at this, the more I'm sat thinking, yeah, this is one for us to try and win. It's going to be tough. I clicked on managers here, and I think it's broken everything. I don't think I've ever clicked on managers before. This is past meetings between me and Bullet, who apparently was the Wolves manager during the years where Wolves were doing pretty well, which is interesting. Our recent record over him is quite good. Although for a lot of that, it was when he was Wolves manager and Wolves were a contender. It's worth noting, actually, just to end things, if we look at the Premier League table here, you can see Wolves are down in 7th now. Wasn't that long ago they were pushing us to the wire on the final day of the season. In the end, United did finish 2nd, Chelsea did finish 3rd, and Tottenham finished 4th. It was a fairly stable status quo, I feel like, in terms of the season. Those were the 3 teams always in contention for the top 4. Arsenal did close the gap quite significantly as those teams started to falter. Of course, for a long time, the season was very, very close at the top, and kind of through a combination of us finding a run of consistency, but also all the teams on our tail falling off the pace. Obviously, we've ended up winning the league with quite a hefty margin in the end of 14 points, which didn't feel all that likely earlier on in the year. Anyway, folks, that's going to wrap up this end of season episode from me. Next time out, we're going to have the Champions League final. We're going to look in depth at the Porto team ahead of the game. I think we'll also do the end of season awards at the end of next episode. Of course, after that match, we do get the official end of season thing in Football Manager. So whilst this video serves as a bit of a overview of the squad, some of our former players, a pretty nice, I think, bookmark to end the year, next episode there will be a little bit of a dive into some of the stuff we haven't covered today. Either way, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Do drop a like on it if you have enjoyed. And until next time, it is me, Jack. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.